Are you ready for the quantum age?
Humanity's next step in evolution?
Dream Vision 7 Radio Network invites you to the extraordinary platform of Evolutionary Voices for the Quantum Age.
Let's explore. Learn more about this upcoming age where we bridge science with spirituality.
Where potentiality meets reality.
Where we take compassion into action.
Our trailblazers and visionaries will ask the whys, the what-ifs, while igniting continuous possibility.
Come along with us into an age beyond what we know today, where we can grow together in unity consciousness.
Experience Evolutionary Voices for the Quantum Age, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern on DreamVision7Radio.com.
Welcome to Awakening to True Happiness with modern-day mystic David Hoffmeister, offering you the how-to to spiritual awakening by addressing on a practical level answers to your deepest questions. David Hoffmeister is a world-renowned teacher of A Course in Miracles and has been traveling the world for the past quarter of a century, offering his wisdom to audiences wherever invited. On this show, you'll hear recordings of David's best live talks, inviting you into an experience of deep wisdom and true clarity. To learn more about David, visit his website at davidhoffmeister.com. Awakening to True Happiness with David Hoffmeister is part of Evolutionary Voices for the Quantum Age, heard Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern on the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.
Yeah, I want to just welcome everyone. I'm just so honored to dive into this Holy Instant experience with all of you this weekend. And you can almost think of everything you've ever said or done around spirituality, or everything, all the work you've done with the Course in Miracles. It's all just been for this pinnacle, for this retreat, for this instant, because we're going to dive in to the deep end, to the most important topic in A Course in Miracles. And people may say, wow, that's saying something, the most important topic. I thought forgiveness was the most important topic, or I thought holy relationship was the most important topic, but all of it is just pointing to an experience of the Holy Instant, and that's what we're diving into together. And really, from down there in Mexico, from up here in Utah, we have music for you. We've got the most amazing clips. Jason's going to do a clip session tomorrow, and you better be well rested for this thing, because this is going to draw you in real deep and take you over. You're going to be in the tractor beam of love, and while we all have realized that working with the Course and all authentic spiritualities require that you hide nothing, that you expose error, that you expose the unconscious and everything, what's the point of it all except for this, what we're doing here? And so I wanted to start off with just what felt strong in my heart was something that will stay with you as you take this dive. And I remember years ago, people would give me songs and send me stuff as I was traveling around the country and the world. And I'm going to give you a little song that I want you to use. And I remember when I first heard it, I just had the biggest smile on my face, because it was so short and so sweet and so punctuated that I was struck by its simplicity. And so here's the song. This is how I want to open up with. And the song goes like this. Do I want the problem, or do I want the answer? Teach only love, for that is what you are. That's it. That's the whole song. I like a song like that. I mean, it's got a little rhythm to it, and I especially like the way it starts, and I like the way that it ends. It's an entire song, and really, when the song says, do I want the problem or do I want the answer is the Holy Instant. Whatever thoughts you're having about time and space, about anything, about relationships, about the past, about the pressures and the worries of the future, the answer is the holy instant. So in one sense, you can accelerate right into the goal of the course by putting your full attention on the answer. And isn't that amazing? That imagine when we were little, if our parents had said, well, don't be too concerned about what happens today. It's not really that important. Don't be concerned about your schooling or grades or about learning anything. Don't be concerned about your friends. Don't be concerned about the planet, about pollution or economics or anything at all, because you really should focus on the answer. And I'm sure a lot of us would say, wow, really? Are you sure, Mom, are you okay? It's like, but to focus, doesn't that make sense? That healing, that love, that joy, that happiness would be by focusing our mind's attention on the answer and not on the problem. And so in that sense, that leads us into the holy instant. Also, I was looking through a course lesson that I thought would really be helpful, and the one that I was guided to out of all the course workbook lessons was lesson 300. Only an instant does this world endure. Now, if your parents or somebody, imagine it's your partner or somebody in your life, a professor and anybody, if anybody had just said, just pause for a moment and then said, only an instant does this world endure, you might have initially had a very perplexed, puzzling look on your face, like, what? Are we talking about the same planet? Are we talking about the same world? What does that mean? Only an instant does this world endure. This is lesson 300 from A Course in Miracles workbook. And so it's like Jesus in lesson 300, we're getting pretty far through that book, and he's really like laying it out. So let's just take a moment to take a look at that. Only an instant does this world endure. Because if we accept this lesson, then we're not going to be focusing on history. And we aren't going to be focusing on the future, any kind of ambition. We're not really going to be focusing much at all on time and space if only an instant does this world endure. It's almost like Jesus is saying, here's something that is a very helpful idea if you can just embrace it, but you have to let go of a lot in your mind. You really have to let go of everything that's in there in consciousness to accept this. And sometimes you've heard people say, what you like that in a movie where people come up to you and say, well, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. What do you want first, the good news or the bad news? Well, in this lesson, Jesus gives the bad news first, because he's going to take us to eternity, but he's going to start off with, only an instant does this world endure. I'm going to give you the bad news first. I'm going to give you the good news second. The bad news is this thought, only an instant does this world endure. This is a thought which can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here. He's talking about this entire time and space world, that death and sorrow are the certain lot. When Jesus says certain, he means certain. Death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here, for their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. So it's like, he's like, I'll give it to you straight. Here's the bad news. Everything of time and space and everything of this world it's a death wish. the entire world of the Big Bang, everything, all of history, and everything you perceive in linear time is a death wish. And that is a pretty big pill to swallow initially when you start looking at sunsets and the colors and the things. There's a lot of things in this world that it doesn't seem to be purely dark. It seems to be some good and some bad. But he's saying at the beginning there that only an instant does this world endure. He's basically saying it's death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here. Everyone who seems to come to planet Earth will have the experience of death and sorrow. That's because this world endures only for an instant. And yet, he turns it around and he flips it over. The same idea, only an instant does this world endure. Here's the good news. Yet, this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud upon a sky eternally serene. That's the good news. You might think of anything, even death and sorrow are just like passing clouds on an eternal sky, like a cloud on an eternal serene sky. And it is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure today. So he concludes this with a prayer. And this is like our prayer. This would be our prayer for this weekend. We seek your holy world today, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while. But we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to be restored to heaven and our true identity. And we give thanks today the world endures but for an instant. We would go beyond that tiny instant to eternity. We would go beyond the problem to the answer. We would go beyond the belief in linear time to the holy instant. And we would go beyond the belief in private thoughts to an experience of full communication in which we give and receive fully, without limit, the communication that God would have us share. And before we started tonight, I was thinking a little bit about Revelation, the great rays and Revelation, that the light of God just radiates and extends. And if you could imagine, like, to use an earthly analogy, like a fire hose, you know how powerful those fire hoses are. A fire hose of light is what this true communication, this revelatory communication is from God. And the only thing that blocks us from being in full awareness of that revelatory communication from God is the belief in time and also the belief in private thoughts and private minds. So if we really look at what is it going to take us, what will it take to go into this experience of the holy instant, it's just a full awareness of total communication with everyone and everything, and seeing the absolute impossibility of private thoughts and private minds. And to me, this is really where the excitement is because when I was looking at chapters today on the holy instant, when I was looking at holy instant, practicing the holy instant, some of you are familiar with that subsection from the Course, and the holy instant and the special relationship, all those amazing teachings from A Course in Miracles on the holy instant, it all comes down to the experience of full communication. Now, if we just take a moment and we say,